Hello, and welcome to this introductory lecture for contemporary nutrition. This lecture is just to whet your appetite for what you're going to be seeing in the different modules throughout the semester. So the first thing we have to do to get started is define what is nutrition. Well, according to our book and also the American Medical Association, nutrition is the science that links food to health and disease. This is important. It's saying the things we eat doesn't just give us nourishment, but that the things we eat will impact our food and our overall health and whether or not it will lead to disease. For example, if you eat whole grain foods, for example, broccoli, that could give you good nutrition that leads to better health. However, if you eat processed foods that have simple sugars like cookies and many of them, it might lead to different diseases such as cardiovascular disease as you age. So by this definition we have in the book and by the American Medical Association, we know there's a thing such as good and bad nutrition. What we eat that's good and makes us in a better health state is good nutrition, but things that could hurt us put us in a poorer health state. So with this idea, we learn we need good nutrition to stay healthy, and therefore we need good food. Now that leads us to the next question, what is food? And is all food created equally? We see here a picture of what we typically think of as food, and even on the next slide that we see now, if I ask you the question, which of these is food, it sort of seems like tongue-in-cheek. We see a picture of tomatoes versus a bicycle. Now it's very clear from this picture which one is the food source. But it becomes less clear when we look sometimes at those ingredients and those nutrition labels we see on food. Here we see the nutrition labels of 5 different food products, but the question is what are these things? Are these food? Are they equal? Are they going to give me good nutrition or poor nutrition as far as, causing disease? So if we look at the products themselves and not just the nutrition labels, we can learn what these products are. You probably were able to tell by the one in the top left corner that just says the ingredients are pistachios and salt that those are pistachios. However, the other ones might not have been so clear. The bottom 3 pictures we can see are Coffee Mate, pancake syrup, and Twizzlers. But look at the first ingredient of those 3 different products. We can see it's corn syrup. It's just corn syrup, corn syrup, corn syrup. And if you look at the secondary products, etc., inside those, or the ingredients inside those, it's a lot more sugar. See, what we can do nowadays with science is reconstitute different products and make them appear differently to you, when in reality, you're always consuming the same thing. In this case, a lot of sugar. And in this case, simple sugars that are processed. Even the one on the top right-hand corner, you're like, well, that's not too bad. That looks like it's maybe fish sticks or something like that. But look at the ingredient list. Look how long it is. Look at the fact that down in the list, we can see a product called TBHQ. It's there to protect flavors and antioxidant, but also it's actually a product of petroleum oil. So when you eat that product, you're also consuming petroleum oil, which has deleterious effects to your health in some cases. So this makes that question as far as what is food? Do we really know what it is? And in this class, we're going to figure that out. Now, along with food and thinking about food and even where food comes from, it sometimes makes us think about the past. And in this case, we can think about different words and colloquialisms we might have heard in English. For example, you see here a list of different colloquialisms with the different words missing, but I'm sure most of you could fill in some of these things. So for example, we see one of the expressions, until the cows come home, or this room is a pigsty, or my favorite, putting the fox in charge of the hen house. Now, I've never raised chickens, I've never worked on a pig factory, but I know these expressions. Why is that? Because even though these expressions are hundreds of years old, we are directly connected to our food through history and culture. So up to 100 years ago, people did have these things in their backyards. They had a garden. The neighbor down the street might have been raising pigs or chickens or cows. And so therefore, these sorts of expressions were normal and typical, and that's why we still have them today. We're still connected to our food. And even more so, we might want to think to ourselves, how are we connected nowadays? Do we go to farms? Do we talk to farmers that actually raise the food for us? Have we ever gone to a chicken farm and collected eggs? Do we have a garden out back? And even more so, do these things even matter? Well, if we look here, we learn why they matter. They matter when we get to things like recalls. We can see in 2006, there was a spinach recall. 187 people became sick. 1 person died. And it was because of an E. coli outbreak. In 2010, they recalled 500 million eggs. Process that. 500 million or 500 million eggs recalled, because nowadays, most eggs are factory farmed. There's one plant. There's actually 5 plants typically throughout the United States. They make almost all the eggs that we consume. One of the plants had a problem. They had salmonella poisoning. And as a result, they had to recall all those eggs. In 2011, a ground turkey recall made them recall 36 million pounds of ground turkey. That's 18 million kilograms, more or less. Think about that. Think about the facility that must be processing to push out 36 million pounds, in which case you have to recall it because it's all being processed there. And that was again because of a salmonella outbreak. And the thing that we keep on seeing recurring nowadays, and very recently, is romaine lettuce recalls and cauliflower recalls. Why do we see these? Because we grow pretty much all of our lettuce and all of our cauliflower in California, Arizona, and Mexico, and in certain regions within those states. And we can see there that what happens is, typically those sort of farms could be next to a factory farm that has cows or pigs or something like that, and sometimes there's runoff of refuse down into those areas, and it can bring with it E. coli or salmonella. So now that we know a little bit more about nutrition and what these things are, what are we going to do to learn about them? So these are the different topics we're going to learn throughout the semester. We're going to focus on nutrition, how it's a key to health, how do we design a healthy diet, and we're going to do that using the scientific method. We're going to learn about our bodies, the nutrition requirements it takes, how do we control our weight. We're going to learn about our macronutrients and our micronutrients, things like vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates. Are carbs really bad? We're going to learn all these things. And then we're going to learn specific and sort of, nuanced approaches to, for example, if you're pregnant, what's your nutrition needs for you and your baby? What happens with alcohol use and abuse? What can we do to be better in our athletic events if we play sports? How do we make sure that our food is safe to consume? And what happens with eating disorders? We're going to cover all these different topics in the course because the main goal of this class is to provide you with the necessary understanding to create better health through better nutrition throughout your life as a life skill. When you finish this class, you will have the tools and the means to understand, is this good for me? What will it do if I consume this? And do I want to consume more of it or less of it in my life? Some things to keep in mind as you take this course is to please stay up on date to your readings and assignments. Make sure you work on your reports before they're due because they take time to complete properly. In fact, as you go through the modules, you see some things have deadlines of by day 3, and therefore revisions between day 3 and day 7. Participate on a regular basis in the discussion forums. That's a way for you to connect with your classmates and also with your professor, but also so therefore you can have ideas and get to know each other when you have those ideas. Ask questions, attend office hours, write emails to your professor. We're here to help you as you go through this material and make sure you get the most out of it. Because remember, this is your class. Make the most of it to help you in your life. And the thing I'll end with is one specific quote from Wendell. He said it about 100 years ago, and it's eating is an agricultural act. It's a beautiful phrase or quote, but there's really two words there. It's saying eating is agriculture, because every single time you eat something, you're consuming it from the earth. You're saying, how was it raised in the earth? How did it grow? How did it get to my plate? But you're also saying eating is a cultural act. When you sit down to eat with friends and family and have conversations, you create culture. And even more so, the plate you may be eating, the dish that you're enjoying, it might have been created 1,000 years ago and was passed down by word of mouth, by mothers and fathers to their children, and now you're consuming it today and still enjoying it. So, I hope this made you interested in the material. We're very excited you're in the course, and we look forward to seeing you in Module 1.